Eiyuden Chronicle Rising is the prequel to the hotly anticipated upcoming JRPG Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes, and in order to stop me from trying to say Eiyuden one more time, I'm going to be referring to them by their subtitle. So here is a review of Rising. Before we get into it, just remember that once we get to 100,000 subscribers, we're giving away a Nintendo Switch OLED model to one of you, so please subscribe, we can get there sooner. So, full disclosure, I am a massive fan of Suikoden, especially the first two games, so when the Kickstarter was announced for 100 Heroes, a spiritual successor by some of the original creators, I naturally threw my child's education fund straight at it. It was only a couple of $100, she won't notice. But considering this was only my fourth Kickstarter backing, and only one of those had come to fruition, at least how it was sold, that goes to show how much I wanted this to work. Now, I've got to be honest, I gave them my money and just let them get to work on it. I haven't followed any updates pretty much, so this prequel sort of took me by surprise. Not only because I don't recall it being mentioned, but also because this is a side-scrolling action game rather than a JRPG. Naturally, I was curious, was it going to be a quick game for a cash injection for the company, to help the development of the main game, or is it a true game in its own right? Well, that's the question we're going to answer today. The answer is the latter one, because it's pretty good. So this stars CJ, an honorable scavenger on a rite of passage. At the age of 15, she's thrust into the world and tasked with bringing back something nice and shiny, preferably something a bit better than her father during his own rite of passage. She stumbles upon a town absolutely wrecked by an earthquake. She is sure she can find something shiny enough within the area, but is blocked by the acting mayor, who won't give her a pass until she coughs up 100,000 gold, or she can do favors for the local residents and gain stamps as though she's gunning for a free coffee. It begins very simply. You'll be helping small tasks like collecting resources or finding items, but you stick around, you'll see that helping the residents also helps build the town up slowly to its former glory and beyond. It's pretty much all on you. The other residents seem to do bugger all to help themselves. I mean, seriously, when is an RPG character gonna barge into my house so I can make him go get my delivery from the post office? I'd give him a stamp for that. You'll quickly be joined by a mercenary also searching for shiny things, and he happens to be a giant kangaroo wielding a massive sword, of course. When I saw this dude during the promotion of 100 Heroes, I thought it was a bit dumb. I mean, sure, Suikoden has very freakish cat people, but a giant kangaroo, that's too far. Or so I thought. I never thought I'd admire a one-eyed giant kangaroo, but Rising made it so. That is the true power of video games, ladies and gentlemen. He's a pretty badass dude, and I like him quite a lot. You'll also get the mayor on your side too a bit later on, and she's not exactly badass, but she does add some depth in the character development area, and she's a fun addition to the battle system, which I should get into. When you're out of town and into dungeon-like areas, it becomes a side-scrolling action game with RPG elements. Each character is fairly basic to begin with. In fact, the tutorial battle made me wince with its simplicity. I was a bit worried at just how basic it would be. But when you upgrade, they're pretty flexible. I mean, there's only a basic attack that can be comboed, but where Rising excels is in its link attacks with the three fighters. Y, X, and A are each linked to an attack to one of the characters. If you use the attack of a different character just as you strike the enemy with the one you're using now, then the new fighter will take over. And when that character strikes the enemy, you can switch to another one, linking multiple attacks together. It's very satisfying, especially with how the three characters are all very different. It does take a little bit of getting used to though. I ended up always switching to CJ when controlling the other characters because my muscle memory often thought that Y should be the attack button for every character. I often took hits from enemies because of that mistake. You'll fight a variety of enemies in your adventure, and they all have signposted attack patterns that are fun getting used to. You'll get to grip on which characters suit which monsters, at least for the initial bout before you start linking attacks. There's elemental stuff as well which can play a part. You'll be fighting your way through forests, ruins, caves, and on top of snowy mountains, all of which are rich in materials that the town very much needs. It won't be long before shop after shop pops up with a wide variety of things on offer, and even then, they can be upgraded too, to offer even more stuff. While some are more essential than others, you'll definitely want to spend time to upgrade the shops and your weapons and armor too. Sure, you'll level up in the game with your stats and stuff, but your progress will be hampered if you don't upgrade your equipment. And I feel this was a bit of messiness from the game. Like, there was a point when I needed to be able to use the runes and I needed to mine a certain type of material. I was told I should upgrade my pickaxe to be able to get that, but I maxed it out to no avail. It still wouldn't give me the higher upgraded material. But it turns out that my weapons, which definitely look like pickaxes, aren't supposed to be the pickaxes. No, the pickaxe is an item in your inventory. However, to upgrade that, I needed to make the tool shop, which is actually a side quest in the game. And then, once I made the tool shop, I had to do another side quest to actually get that upgrade. A bit of faff and a miscommunication from the game, which the developer has noted. And aside from adjusting the balance on day one, they are modifying some side quests, navigation issues like this. So fingers crossed, they make that a bit more clearer for when you guys play. And that leads me onto one of the bigger issues I have with this game, and that is its pacing. It's a bit all over the place. It blocks the main quest progress for small tangents, especially early on. I found myself a little frustrated at getting to a point in the dungeon, only to have to go back to a town and speak to one person, then do something else, maybe go back to an older dungeon before I could go back to the dungeon I was in the middle of doing, and then move on. That happens quite a lot up until you get the third character in your party about 5 hours in. Once the town is built up nicely, then you tend to be able to go at a better pace. Not that there's anything wrong with taking it slow in order to do more of the side stuff, you know, smell the bacon, or roses, or whatever the term is. Bacon is better. That's fine. It's just how they did it. They didn't hide it very well. It was an obvious cock block, and if you're gonna cock block me, at least hide it better. Don't make it so obvious to me. But don't get me wrong, as annoying as that was, I found the gameplay to be fantastic. It gave a real sense of adventure and a nice feeling of town building. I mean, you may know me, I'm a bit of a whore for anything that has base building going on. Suikoden, Azure Dreams, Dark Cloud, I just want to be the god of the town, and if I can't do that in real life, then video games need to give me that pleasure. Sometimes it does feel a little bit rote here, and I kind of do wish there was a little bit more grind, like you had to work a bit harder to get some of the stuff, like in Azure Dreams, something you could work towards, like a goal, rather than just go out, get this. But I guess it's not a roguelike, so that might not have worked so well. But it is fun seeing the town develop and become more and more bustling. It's surprisingly big as well. So many shops, so many people to help, so many stamps to get that free Americano. Visually, at first I was a bit unsure. The environments look fairly decent, have nice effects going on, but the character animation is quite stiff, especially in the opening cutscene where CJ walks like she just dumped in her trousers. It's not flattering, but thankfully you'll only see this in cutscenes once in a while, since for the gameplay she's always sprinting as though she's about to take a dump in her trousers. You know, bathrooms are few and far between in fantasy JRPG land. You never see them. I actually really like the character sprites though. I believe they are 3D models designed to look 2D. I'm not entirely sure, but they do have an old school Nippon Ichi vibe to them. Reminds me of La Pucelle or Phantom Brave, which is very much a good thing. It's overall a good looking game. Competent environments with nice effects that border on an Octopath vibe. They've got that background blooming blur thing going on. It's old school meeting modern very well. Also, can I say, I really appreciate the character faces appearing during dialogue. That's something I've missed from a lot of games recently, and they even have different expressions. Such a simple yet effective touch for making you closer to the characters, give them more personality. And I do know that this was added to the game later on during development, because the community asked for it, and they delivered, so go community. Now this is available digitally pretty much on every platform as far as I can see, which is fascinating that this is on the Switch considering 100 Heroes wasn't confirmed for the system. They said they were worried it wouldn't be powerful enough, or maybe the Switch would be superseded by a newer Nintendo system. But either way, here it is at a frankly ridiculous price. In the era of indie inflation, where every half-decent indie game guns for $20, at $15 in the US, the same in euros, and £12.99 in the UK, honestly, I'm just surprised they are being this generous. It's refreshing that a quality game like this, that offers quite a lot of content, is priced so modestly. It's a well-crafted game, not relying on roguelike gameplay to fill its content. It's all handmade. It's a steal. and you should buy it. And if you want to get some eShop credit, then head over to our new site, SwitchWatch.net, to get some eShop moolah with 10% off with our code SwitchWatch10. If you do that, that supports us. Sadly, there's been no mention of a physical release, and I doubt Limited Run would do this since I know the CEO has beef with the publisher 505 Games. However, Super Rare Games does have a good relationship with those guys, but honestly, this deserves a retail release, not just 4,000 copies to be scalped. So yeah, maybe Super Rare will do it, but I will be disappointed if they do. Not that there's anything wrong with Super Rare, I just think that this deserves a bigger, wider release. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. You should badger 505 Games, Rabbit and Bear Studios, the IP holder, and the actual developer of this side game, Natsume Atari. Yes, Natsume Atari, not the same company Natsume, they are different. Natsume Atari is the one that still has some respectability. Overall, I went in not knowing what to expect with Rising, but after a slightly dodgy introduction with stiff-looking animation and simple battle tutorial, it quickly developed into one of my favorite games of the year so far. Side-scrolling action with RPG elements, a really fun battle system that relies on linking attacks. It has a very interesting story that I'm fascinated to see how it will link to the main game coming next year, and I tell you what, I am hyped for that even more thanks to this game. The town building feels good, even if it is a bit too generous with how you unlock stuff, and there is pacing issues that detract a little bit from the adventure, but regardless, with a great adventure, with a fun story and characters, and a very reasonable price, you can't go wrong with Rising. An 8.5 out of 10. Alright, many thanks for watching this review of Eiyuden Chronicle Rising, the prequel to 100 Heroes. If you want to purchase it, then head over to SwitchWatch.net to get your eShop credit with our discount SwitchWatch10. Many thanks to our executive producers, Dane Wilkinson, God of Resin, Boombox, Brent McLean, Jonathan Rumo, Santa Tartaruga, Alexander Cato, JCross7776, Elissa, Punkidusa, Cartoon Soren, Robotech, Z, Raven Knight, Thorn Metal Luna, Parsnip Coffee, Isa, Vey, Mental Traveler, Grantsert, Viz, Jennifer M, and Instacritic. Plus you, yeah, you watching right now. If you watched all the way through, you're a legend too. If you did, leave me a pickaxe emoji in respect to the half an hour I wasted trying to figure out why mine didn't work. Check out some of our other stuff. On Sunday we have digital bargains. On Monday we have all the physical Switch releases. Plus we've got a lot of other stuff going on. Go check them out and subscribe.